to Stream of Consciousness with Hiro. Ahoy, Hiro. And we are sadly only able to stream to Twitch because Restream is having more issues. I know this because I started the stream with all three in Restream, and I immediately saw 86, 75, 86, 95% dropped frames. So, whatever's going on over at Restream, please fix it. In the meantime, we are also streaming on Lagging Out's channel, I believe. I'm going to send an invite over to see if we can get the... What's it's going to see if we can get more work anymore. Whoa, I've got audio. I hear myself. Okay, invite guests. Why the heck? Why does it not automatically show? They're just Lagging Out. Let me hit the favorite on that too. Send invites. Is it gonna work? Are you seeing it? Yes! Woo! Start sharing chats. Voila! We are here. Yeah, you go. Sorry. Yay! Ahoy, Lagging Out Legion! Look for the button that says share chat. Okay. So, okay, Mojo just dropped something in the Lagging Out chat. So, I see it on the Deep Dive Gaming chat. So, I think it's set. Oh, I just minimize that one. I just go back to the Twitch. Yeah, I just go back to the creator dashboard and then Stream Manager and look at the chat from there. I guess that's something I can do is bring up the YouTube Lagging Out channel on or chat, and also the Rumble Lagging Out chat, just so I have frame of reference. Chat pop out. Apologies. Yeah, apologies. It takes a little bit of time, and we have to wait to set some of this up until we actually start streaming. Yeah, so anyways, once we get things going, Hiro, go ahead and pick up on where we're at in the timeline for Zelda. Not that Hero, that Hero. Some P's and some Q's, yes. Well, that's no good. You weren't on mine.
How about now? It's my mic capture that was off. Okay, there we go.
Reset, start over.
Starting over. Hey, greetings everybody lagging out. This is Hiro. I've got the Mariner with me, featuring on this fine stream of consciousness. Maybe we can call it the Legend of the Stream. I don't know. Whatever. As long as it's not yellow, right?
Yeah, or dropped frames. That's also a
Yeah.
plus.
But yeah, so last week on Stream of Consciousness, we were discussing the Hero Defeated timeline, and we completed and concluded that conversation. In that, we concluded that Hero doesn't like um, the hero defeated concept because the hero never technically appears in the original publication of the stuff. But, mincing words, whatever. So now we're going on with the child timeline and hopefully going to be able to wrap up the adult timeline in the same episode. That being said, I'm going to try and make sure I engage our chat a little bit more. And maybe I can throw some curveballs at these people and bounce a baseball off of somebody's head. I'm kidding. I'm not going to hurt anybody, I promise. But ultimately, we are now uh, ready to go. I need to.
Unfortunately, with me not streaming to Twitch and to Rumble and YouTube, I have a manageable number of chat boxes I can monitor.
And I would appreciate that. I
And I think
forgot
I
to
finally
pop
got
out
them
one
mostly
more.
situated.
I forgot to pop out one more, so now I can at least pretend to pay attention.
Mojo has also resubscribed to the Lagging Out.
Thank you, Mojo, for the sub.
She has traveled 25,000 leagues with Lagging Out. That doesn't work as well.
No, no.
That's a gimmick on my channel for resubs, but it doesn't work for anybody else apparently.
Anyways, so
Oh,
suddenly,
Kaori, by the way.
yes, thank you for joining us, Kaori. Um, wait, why does that look weird? What's going on? That's why that looks weird. Haha! I've marched with the
March
Legion
for the
for
Legion for
25.
25 kilometers. There we go.
I like it. I like
Mojo
it.
with the save. Once, nice. Okay,
Anyways,
so
so
the child era of
the child
Zelda.
era of Zelda. So as we discussed previously on Dragon Ball Z, I mean Lagging Out Live and Deep Dive Gaming. um, Ocarina of Time introduces a timeline split. You have three timelines. Originally, there was only two, the adult era and the child era. But then somewhere along the line, Nintendo decided to get froggy and said, no, there's three. There's the timeline with the child, obviously, because that's how the story starts with Ocarina of Time. There's the timeline with the adult, and then they introduced the famous line of, here's some timey-wimey stuff. And they
Wibbly
said,
wobbly, timey wimey.
yes, I love it. I've always loved that. I don't know why. But with the timey-wimey stuff, there's the concept of there is a timeline where the hero does not appear. Because when Link gets sealed away in the Sacred Realm by the Master Sword, he disappears for 7 years. Well, that timeline actually continued. This is where I have problems with Nintendo saying that the hero was defeated. He never appeared to be defeated. But that's, again, nuance. Some people would remember after Ocarina of Time, shortly after, because in 1998, the game dropped to much fan love and appreciation. Probably about 2 years later, in the year 2000, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time was released. Or, I'm sorry, Ocarina of Time, my God. Legend of Zelda The Majora's Mask was released. And in this game, it was just Kid Link running around. And the gimmick of the game was the mask system. In the pause screen in Ocarina of Time, you have your items, you have your equipment, weapons, and costumes, whatever you want to call it, plus your gloves and all these other bonus stuff that you can equip. And then you have the map. And in some, depending on the version you're playing, then you have the save screen. In Majora's Mask, there is an entire item subscreen dedicated to masks. The gimmick is the mask. Many of the masks do magical things, three of which, I take that back, four of which give you transformations. In this storyline, the introduction, Link gets cursed by the big bad of the game to become a Deku scrub. It's kind of funny because you get to call Link a scrub. But he's literally, if I can point to, here we go. This little
I was
thing,
also going to say if you could scroll up a little so we could see the artwork.
this guy right here is the Deku scrub. This is the Goron you get to be later on, and this is the Zora you get to be later on. That
Is there a
right
way
there,
to make that image bigger?
uh,
There you go.
it's at danger of getting a
I was
little,
afraid all we were seeing was a little bit of pixels.
yeah. But anyways, you got your Zora, you got your Goron, you got your Scrub, and then you got the Hylian. Now, in this game, like I said, you get cursed to be a Deku Scrub. Fire is your greatest enemy. Yada yada yada. Um, in this game, there's the mask mechanic, and then there's a time limit. You have 3 in-game days to complete the game, quote unquote. Otherwise, this giant moon with the face will fall on the planet and destroy everything. And it has a timeline of events that happen, rinse, repeat over the course of the 3 in-game days. You eventually get you find the ocarina, which is a magic item that Zelda gives you at the beginning of the game. And then in the end sequence, the third day, when you're doing battle with the final boss, you recall a song and then you play that song and it loops time back to the beginning of the first day. The yeah.
Apparently Mojo was fine by going to full screen. And she says, the old destroy the world ploy again. So I replied, the inevitable betrayal.
Ah, hi puppy. Hi puppy. Oh, oh, the wonderful puppy, the Pibble. She wants to say hi again. Sorry.
You know
But
what we call dogs in this? You know how we got Mariner kitties? We
yeah,
also got diver dogs.
yes, I remember. Puppies. Oh, puppy, puppy. Okay, go away, go away. Anyways, the old destroy the world play again. So yes, the moon will crash into the planet. You play the song, and it loops time back to the first day. And Link is the only one that remembers everything that transpired in those 3 days. So it's Groundhog Day, just Zelda edition. Okay, okay, okay. Calm down. I know you're excited. But that being said, certain items continue with you, and certain items you have to recollect. And I'm not going to go any further because if I go any further, then we're going to drone on about this game for way too long.
And we will be going into it later on in a future episode, so we might as well move
Yes.
on to the next bit.
So right before there's this label right here. I say right before. There's this label right here. The sacred realm remains protected. So in the child era, or in Ocarina of Time, the whole point of that game was to stop Ganondorf from taking over the world. There was the fact that the Master Sword sealed Link away to until he was of an age and a physical size to be able to swing the sword and all that stuff. 7 years, whatever. Well, when Link gets sent back in time by Princess Zelda at the end of Ocarina of Time, he goes and tells child Princess Zelda what happened. She believes him, and they go to the king and warn the king about Ganondorf taking over or trying to take over. So he gets imprisoned, and then the Sacred Realm, the events of the fact that the king believes his daughter and this child of their story, Ganondorf gets locked away in prison. The Sacred Realm then is protected, and then Link goes on his merry way to go on to the Majora's Mask adventure, and the demon thief Ganondorf, while Majora's Mask is taking place, he gets executed. And during his execution, or not during his execution, I take that back. The next game, Twilight Princess, actually shows cutscenes, and of this, hey, thanks for that shout out there, Mojo. She says, "Come back here on Friday night for lagging out, for lagging out live at 8 p.m. EST. We got news, reviews, general mayhem." um, but anyways, Twilight Princess takes place after Majora's Mask, obviously, and there's cutscenes from Twilight Princess that showcase the execution of the demon thief Ganondorf. It doesn't actually reference anything about Link in that cutscene. Um, it
Sorry,
actually,
Hero's got a dog on one side and a cat on the other.
yes, it doesn't. The thing with Zelda games is they stand alone very well. They don't actually showcase any other games or any other timelines. Well, I take that back. Thank you for the timelines. They don't really showcase any other games or actually comment on games that happened previously. So the cutscene that shows Ganondorf being executed, it seems to have nothing to do with what happened in Ocarina of Time. In fact, it shows characters and creatures that weren't in previous games. But the the Twilight Princess is another game where it showcases an adult Link, and is he's on a farm, as as he is. He comes from humble beginnings, and in that game, the Twilight Realm is invading Hyrule, and the Twilight Realm. The best way to explain it is when it invades the realm of Hyrule, it turns people into sprites or spirits, and it darkens the world. I mean, Twilight Realm. What can I say?
Every time the dog draws your attention away and you elbow it or whatever, she pulls you off the side of
Yes,
your box.
it's annoying. Actually, hold on for a second. Cheryl, come get this dog. She won't leave me alone. Sorry, she had to get called away. Anyways, uh, there's a lot that happens in Twilight Princess. It actually references Skyward Sword, interestingly enough. It has an entire zone that's in the sky, which ironically now is not the only game that has a sky world or a sky realm. It also Tears of the Kingdom has a sky realm as well. That being said, that being said, Twilight Princess, great game. You have a new companion named Midna. Actually, let's get a picture of that. Some nice little artwork there if you guys would like to ogle that a little bit. Um,
Ooga.
in the in this game, the Twilight Princess, or Midna, actually, I'll call her Midna. Midna, that's this little girl right here, this little companion right here, actually uses her magic to help the chosen hero to be able to become human again. Um, when the Twilight Realm takes over Link's area, he turns into a wolf. So now you have Wolf Link and Midna, which there's a couple of steps to return to being human again. And later in the game, you can change from wolf to human at will. And it's actually a really neat mechanic. Shell from Portal?
I wasn't sure if that was the name or if it was for those who are for context for those who are not watching on YouTube or Rumble. Mojo and I are discussing how so Thursday nights on Logging Out I play Satisfactory for the Good of Humanity, and I went ha humanity. Mojo says I highly suspect your character isn't human, and I said, "Are you thinking Chell like Chell from Portal?"
And then, of course, she drops our playthroughs.
Yeah.
Anyways, so Twilight Princess ends pretty epically. You end up with this really extended battle. You actually have to, as Link, you actually have to battle Princess Zelda, who becomes possessed by Ganondorf and his dark magic. And then after you defeat the possessed Zelda, you then have to take on Ganon in his demon beast form, which is, again, awesome because his demon beast in classic Japanese medium genre, whatever, is a full screen boss. Like, it's a trope at this point. So, yeah. To move on from Twilight Princess, you also have the Twilight era and then later the Shadow era that takes place with Four Swords Adventures. In this game, you play as, well, four different versions of Link. There is a sword that, for whatever reason, when he takes the sword, the magic sword, it turns him into four versions of himself.
Would this be the Vorpal sword?
I am not 100% sure, but that is a great joke.
Mojo says, "Does the Twilight Princess sparkle too?"
No. No. She does not. She's actually a pretty neat character once you get past her cattiness. She's very snippy, snappy, and harsh, and then by the end of the game, you realize that she was just a big teddy bear. Anyways, in Four Swords Adventures, you fight the reincarnation of Ganondorf, and you have to fight off the resurrection of the evil wizard Vati. Details of this one is lost on me. This was one that came out during a time that I did not have that handheld system. It was a handheld game, so I apologize. We'll get into that during our deep dives. So this concludes the child era. Do we have any fans that want to commentate on any of the Zelda games from the child era, spanning from Ocarina of Time to Majora's Mask, Twilight Princess, and Four Swords Adventures? Any viewers?
No, Do 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 do. I'm not all technically inclined like Chieftain with the soundboard and everything, so I have to fake it.
Yeah, and I
Ah,
need to unscrew my mixer in order to get my soundboard working.
oof. One of these days I will get myself a Stream Link, but it's or Stream Deck, but it's not
So, no queries from
Hookers
Mojo.
from Mojo.
Moving on to the adult era. Now we have a few more games in the adult era. Actually, no, we have the exact same number of games in the adult era. Anyways, so the adult era takes place after the defeat of Ganondorf and the monstrous evil king Ganondorf in Ocarina of Time. This is the penultimate battle at the end of the game where Princess Zelda actually has to participate for all of 5 seconds and has to hit the evil king with her light arrow, and then Link charges out to grab the master sword and then charges back in to slash 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 and then stab him square between the eyes. It was a really great fight. When I was a kid, that was such an awesome fight. Uh-oh, Mojo said she lied. When Link visited child Zelda, was Link a child also or the adult? So, my narrative that I was sharing actually explains this a little bit. The defeat of Evil King Ganondorf, which is the monstrous giant pig troll looking thing, that we'll get a picture of that later when we do the deep dive. But at the end of that, when you go through all of the sequence, the conversation, you save the Princess Zelda, yada yada. She hits him with the light arrow, and you stab him through the eyes, all that shit. Oh, language. Apologies. All that stuff. She then takes the ocarina from Link and then tearfully apologizes for stealing away his childhood, and then uses the magic of the ocarina to send him back in time, back to his child self, and to the moment right before he drew the sword out of the stone, King Arthur style, ironically. Yes, pig troll. So original Ganondorf, whatever. His monster beast form is a pig demon or a giant pig-looking creature. I'll go ahead and actually bring it up.
Mojo says, but he still retained all of his knowledge.
Yes, he retained all of his memories and everything. So here is stupid advertisement. Here is one representation of King Ganon, and there's other representations. Um, there's Demise, the original evil incarnation of Ganon. Here's Ganondorf as the demon, or as the King of Thieves, or the King of the Gerudo. Uh, Another representation right there from the original Legend of Zelda, the pig troll.
I
And
love the skull T-shirt on that one.
yeah, and here's Demon Form Ganon, or Demon King Ganon. Still got somewhat has his pig appearance, but definitely more buffed.
Mojo says, okay, that's just kind of creepy in a way. Dude be ogling his future girlfriend.
Wow. And then this would be the evil wizard form, which it's eh, yeah.
I
It's
really need to get you on Opera for looking at this stuff. I usually don't have to deal with ads.
Yeah, I'm stumbling a little bit because that was a little impromptu. I hadn't planned on it's Wario Wizard. But anyways, so that was the question for child timeline. When Link goes to visit Princess Zelda as a child, he also is a child, so he gets sent back in time as a kid. um, so after the events of Link doing battle with uh, Demon King Ganon, as they call him, Link is sent away. Yes, he knows. He knows everything. um, Link gets sent back in time. Princess Zelda rebuilds the kingdom. Ganondorf is in this timeline. Ganondorf is sealed in the Sacred Realm, and he then breaks out of the Sacred Realm and uses his magic to flood the world of Hyrule. This is over the course of probably a couple of hundred years. Um,
If he
there's
floods the kingdom, isn't it called the low rule?
there is a
Only
low
the only the lowlands get flooded.
that there is a low rule, and that was in A Link Between Worlds.
Ah,
But that's another conversation. Anyways,
gotcha.
he breaks free, floods Hyrule, and it's the world of the high seas, the era of the great sea, as it says right here. That's when The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker takes place. This was the GameCube release of well, the first GameCube release of Zelda. Ganondorf, having been resurrected, then starts a basically a pirate kingdom and starts trying to take over
Arr.
Hyrule. Well, what's left of it, since only the highlands are not covered in sea and water and all that. Um, in this game, you do battle with Ganondorf in a realm that is at the bottom of the sea, but free of water. That's complicated conversation. I'll explain that in the deep
So
dive.
it's quite so it's quite literally under the sea.
Under the sea.
Under the sea.
Anyways, that being said, we'll get into that later in another episode. The next game following that is Phantom Hourglass. My I played this one. This game was actually very fun. You get this companion that sails you around the ocean. He's pretty cool. Um, he's also your typical nitwit companion. He's not. He's somewhat cowardly and also somewhat dim-witted.
He's the buffoon.
Yes, but he's a nifty. He's a cool character nonetheless. Um, it's a similar. The world is in a similar layout as what there was in the Wind Waker, with a lot of revisions. Don't get me wrong, but it's very similar. And in order to get from and in order to advance the game, you have to sail from island to island. There's a lot of exploration, a lot of fog of war, if you will, until you sail the whole entire map. It was a 3DS game, so the world wasn't that expansive, but it was fun to explore. But that being said, moving along, there's this giant new continent that gets discovered between games. A new Hyrule kingdom is founded, and they titled this era the era of Hyrule's rebirth. And then Spirit Tracks happens. Um,
Does that mean they've got an old rule and a new rule now?
technically, I guess if you look at the timelines, yes. um, Spirit Tracks takes place at the end of the adult timeline. Now, mind you, they call the big bad of this game, Demon King Maladus, which I presume it's just a renaming of Ganondorf or Demon King Ganon. Basically, as I understand, this is kind of a steampunk era of Hyrule because you've got a steam train and you go on an adventure traveling around with this train. I don't know.
Hiro, are you able to change the Twitch chat and the Twitch stream name? Because Mojo points out that it looks like it's wrong on Twitch.
It probably is.
Rumble and YouTube are fine, but Twitch is a little off.
I will need to change that. Yes. Um.
I don't know if you can do it now. If you have to wait until after the stream.
Let me bring it up. Why, dog? Why? Why do you have to get in my
Well,
face?
while he's doing that, I'll see if I can attempt an answer to the question of how many names is Ganon going to have? How many games are there?
Well, in fairness, it varies. Demise was the original name. Well, I say the original name. The game that was declared to be the beginning of all of the timelines, Skyward Sword, they decided to call the ultimate evil Demise. And then every reincarnation of Demise after that was labeled as Ganon or Ganondorf. And there's the evil wizard Vati, who is technically the soul of Ganondorf or Ganon, but he hides his identity. And there's also a couple of different evils out there, so it's not just him. Let me see.
Lots of titles, single individual, or so we're led to believe.
That would be pretty correct. Let's see.
3 names per game times 7 equals 21.
I don't know how to change the name. I'll have to handle that after the fact.
Yeah, I kind of was thinking that was going to have to be.
But alas, this concludes the timeline breakdown. However, technically, we have 4 more games.
Technically, how do we have 4 more games, Hiro?
So I'm glad you asked, Mariner. Well played, sir. That's all I can say about that. Well played. Um, technically, there's 4 more games. You have Breath of the Wild, and then you have Tears of the Kingdom. You also have the Hyrule Warrior spin-off games, which they don't technically fit in the timeline, but at the same time, the way the story is developed over the course of Hyrule Warriors, it's the story, the campaign mode is designed to fit into the timeline. So here's my theory. Hiro's theory of Hyrule Warriors, Breath of the Wild, and Tears of the Kingdom. Hyrule Warriors as a game spans the timeline splits. You follow the legendary hero Link on this adventure, and somehow the big bads of 3 separate timelines actually get together and they try to conquer Hyrule across time. And the reason that this is made possible is there is a Sage of Time, or effectively an Oracle of Fate, kind of, sort of, that she's supposed to be the protector of time. And the story goes that she saw this legendary hero and she fell in love with said legendary hero. So she concocted a plot to make the legendary hero hers. And it just goes horribly wrong. So in that, Ganondorf and a bunch of the big bads from the other Zelda games all get together, breaking their chains that bind them in time, and they start collaborating to defeat Link.
Sounds like a multitude of madness to me.
Yeah, kind of is. Uh,
Well, I meant to say multiverse of madness.
I liked Multitude.
Yeah, I was trying to make a multiverse joke. It doesn't work when you can't speak.
Nah, well,
Sorry, man, I
I
can't
like the
kind of
version
predator.
that was produced by the mishap. But this adventure eventually exposes that the keeper of time, so to speak, actually had a identity crisis and split off into the good and the evil of herself, and you actually end up working alongside the good side of her. Thomas the trade situation. Thank you, Mojo. Thank you. Um,
Also, I just noticed the triangle is upside down in that on that the front of that. Because
yes.
if you hold up your tattoo, you can kind of see the shape on the
Yep.
engine there.
The motif. It's 100%. That's intentional on Nintendo's part. But anyways, I'm dragging that out a little too much unnecessarily. So Hyrule Warriors actually splits off and covers a bunch of timelines, and then at the end of the game, time is resolved and everything goes back to the way it should be. My
Mojo says nice cat, by the way.
oh, thank you, Mojo. Um, my theory, headcanon, if you will, is that Hyrule Warriors collapsed all of the timelines into one, and Breath of the Wild takes place at the end of the timeline. This is actually that statement is canon and directly from the game devs at Nintendo. They specifically said that whatever timeline that Breath of the Wild fits into of the overarching Hyrule timeline or the overarching timeline of Zelda, whichever timeline it takes place in, it takes place at the end of it. I think without saying it, it's the end of all three eras, and that the timeline combines at the end, and there's Breath of the Wild. Because you have bits and
All your
pieces.
timelines combined. This is the Legend of Zelda. This
It,
is a reboot.
in my theory, all of said timelines took place in the world of Hyrule and Breath of the Wild because you have three giant Leviathan skeletons on land in different locations in Breath of the Wild. You have the Sky Zone in Tears of the Kingdom, which canonically takes place as a sequel to Breath of the Wild, and just there's so much circumstantial evidence that just kind of corroborates the theory that all three timelines join into one, and then you have Breath of the Wild and then Tears of the Kingdom. Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity is a spin-off game that's based around events that happen before Breath of the Wild takes place, but it's in the environment of Breath of the Wild. So you're looking at, as you're uncovering events that happen in Breath of the Wild, you have your legendary heroes of all the different races those heroes feature in Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. So that game doesn't necessarily, the canon of that game doesn't necessarily affect the canonicity of the first Hyrule Warriors. Anyways, there's my timeline breakdown. We've got about 10 minutes left, Mariner.
Well, 5 if we want to do our wrap up at the end.
Yes, yes, I highly recommend we wrap it up. Hello,
Cat
Mariner.
cameo.
Hello, Mariner Kitty.
Meow.
Is that the
She's not
Mariner?
happy about being picked up, huh?
I was gonna say, is that the she Mariner Kitty?
They're all she married kitties. Although we only have the one. The other one we lost some months back.
Yes, yes.
They
Katai.
were lovingly referred to on stream as Mariner Kitty the older and Mariner Kitty the younger. Mariner Kitty the younger was lost to us some months ago.
Yes. Sorry, didn't mean to bring up the sad. um.
um.
Anyways, I'll go
Well.
ahead and do my breakdown for the end. Um.
Okay.
Hey there, Lagging Out Legion and Deep Dive Gamers. Whoa,
Just call them
whoa.
divers.
Hey,
Yes.
don't don't you claw that. Don't you claw that. That's right, get down. That's a good key. Anyways, um, Legionnaires, divers. I'm Hiro from Lagging Out and occasionally Deep Dive Gaming. Uh, Join us Friday nights at, yes, 8 Eastern Time, 7 Central. Almost said 7 Pacific. We will be
I usually
doing,
go 8. Yeah.
yeah,
Go
we've
ahead.
got
Keep going.
some pretty interesting news in the pipe that I'm going to be sharing with Mariner later on. We're going to be planning things out tomorrow. Also join Kaori tonight. No, tomorrow night, actually. I apologize. And then later the Mariner, but I'll let him plug himself. Also join us on lagginout.com. We've got some articles that have been going up periodically, speaking of.
Is it my turn?
It is.
Although we kind of didn't have a stream Friday night because of the crashing.
Yeah, we
But
did.
I'll take a look and maybe I'll cover one of the topics we didn't get to on the stream Friday night for the article.
Fair enough, fair enough. That being said, I think that's all of my shameless self plugs. Mariner, you got
Um,
anything?
yeah, so I'll see if I can. Is there a link in there that you tried to drop, Mojo? Because it looks like you got shouted at by Botrix on the lagging outside.
Uh-oh.
Oh no, it's a bot war. Streamlabs and no Botrix are fighting. I don't. That's funny. Um, so
Oh,
yes, I will be back on Deep Dive Gaming tomorrow at 5 o'clock Eastern Time for more satisfactory gameplay with Satisfactory. We will be also on the Lagging Out channel Thursday night for those of us watching over there for the same. We don't know yet if we're getting very, very close to the end game for Satisfactory. So Wednesday, if we finish up the current save game I'm on, I've got another one ready, locked and loaded, started already, got the easy stuff taken care of so we can get into the major factory building for phase 2. But again, I don't know if that's going to be tomorrow night or Thursday. It could be like a mix of both, depending on how we do tomorrow. It's either going to be one game or the other. But either way, one playthrough or another. But it's going to be satisfactory. And then after that, I'll be on my channel on Sunday night for whichever way that goes. Um, yes, I think that's it for me. That's it on my side.
sounds good. Sounds good.
I
And
think we are going to probably be ending a few minutes early tonight, but that's okay. We ran a few minutes long last time,
that's
so
fair.
there's
That's
that.
fair. I'm down with that. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, legionnaires and divers, I appreciate you coming out and joining us, be it on Lagging Out or on Deep Dive Gaming. Uh, for now, Mariner and myself, signing off.
Fair winds and fun gaming.
Yep, signing off and lagging out. Have a good one, guys. Enjoy.